Hey guys, it's Jordan Hetrick, and in today's video, I want to show you 5 steps to capture epic fake drone shots with your Insta360 360 camera. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use a 360 camera, such as the Insta360 X5, X4, or X3, to film a shot that looks like it was captured with a drone, but really it was just filmed using your 360 camera. My favorite thing to do is to teach you guys how to capture epic footage with your action cameras and have fun while you're doing it. Whether it's through my books for each camera model or through YouTube videos like this, I just really love to help you guys get out there and have fun because these are powerful little cameras. I'm going to show you 5 steps from filming all the way through to editing so you can capture these epic fake drone shots with your 360 camera. So let's check it out. So first of all, I just want to tell you what a fake drone shot is, and that is just creating a shot using the super wide angle perspective on your Insta360 360 camera so you can create a perspective that looks like it was filmed with a drone. And we're able to do this because of that super wide angle perspective and because of the invisible selfie stick. Why a fake drone shot? I was a little bit of a skeptic when I first heard the hashtag no drone, no problem. And I was like, yeah, I'll just film with my drone. But the more I've traveled and the more that I've tried to film with that drone, the more I've realized there's so many places where I can't use it. Of course, a drone's gonna give you more options, gonna give you higher elevation, more flexibility, and able to cover more distances. But in those situations where you can't use your drone, this is a great option, and it's really easy, quick, and simple to capture. So let's check out those 5 steps that you need to do to capture your fake drone shots. Step 1 is choosing the right location of where to film these drone shots. Now, if you fly drones a lot, you'll probably know a lot of spots that you cannot fly your drone, whether you're in a no-fly zone around an airport, or if you're in a national park, maybe a crowded area. There are a lot of spots where you can't fly your drone, and that is a perfect opportunity to use your 360 camera to capture some of these fake drone shots. I've also found a lot of situations where you don't want to take the time to fly your drone. You can just pop up your 360 camera and get that quick invisible drone shot. It's a really great way to do it in a perfect time and place. So think about those spots where you've always wanted to film with your drone but you haven't been able to. Now's the time. Okay, step 2 is just mounting your camera. You're gonna want to mount your camera on the longest selfie stick you can get. This is the Insta360 Extended Edition. You can also just use their regular selfie stick, but you're not gonna get as high of a perspective, and obviously that's not gonna be able to create as much of a drone shot as you would on a longer pole. So you can mount your camera just directly to the end of these poles. It's set up to mount it straight on there, just like that. Make sure the camera is nice and secure, and also make sure that it's in a straight line with the pole. That's gonna give you that invisible selfie stick effect that you need to create these shots. So if you're filming with the extended edition pole, for example, you can get your camera up to 300 centimeters above you. So you're gonna get your camera in a really high perspective that can definitely mimic a drone shot. It's also gonna give you the opportunity to be really embarrassed when you're holding this huge pole walking through a crowd of people. I've even got some comments like, wow, that's a huge selfie stick. But you gotta just go for it. You also wanna select the most rigid pole you can get so that it won't flex as much when you're holding your camera on the end of it. That's just gonna make it easier when you go to edit those invisible selfie stick shots. If you wanna be in the shot, the pole won't show up in it. All right, now that you've got your camera mounted, step 3 is choosing the settings. Also, before you choose those settings, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can stay tuned for more great tutorials like this that I'll continue coming out with for you guys. As far as settings go, first of all, make sure that you're in 360 video mode. That's the mode that you need to use to capture these fake drone shots. Once you've selected the mode, go into the settings here. In my opinion, the best settings for fake drone shots are filming at 60 frames per second. That's gonna allow you to slow your footage down so you can create a cool cinematic effect when you edit these. On the Insta360 X5 or the X4, the highest resolution that works with 60 frames per second is 5.7K, so I recommend going with that. If you're using the X3, go with 4K at 60 frames per second. If you don't understand how the resolution works on a 360 camera, be sure to check out this video I made. It shows how the 8K resolution works on the X4 or the X5, just to give you an overview so you understand what I mean. As far as the rest of the settings, you can just leave them on auto for now. Obviously there's some you can change, but right now just go with auto since you're probably just starting out. If you're recording in low light on the X5, use pure video mode because that mode is designed specifically for these low light scenes, and you can do that at 8K at 30 frames per second. Or on the X4, use 5.7K at 30 frames per second because that resolution and frame rate combo is just gonna work better for these low light scenes. Either of those settings will give you less jittery footage and just better results overall, but you can't play it back in slow motion. Step 4 is filming the shot. Now that you've chosen your location, you've got your camera mounted and all set up with the right settings, it's time to get out there and go film your fake drone shot. I have a few really important filming tips while you're out there filming to help those drone shots come out better. First of all, extend your pole out as far as it can go so you can get the highest perspective and have the most flexibility to create those fake drone movements. Then press the record button and start filming. As you're filming, try to hold your camera as steady as possible just so there's less movement on the camera. Sometimes on the end of these long poles, there can be a lot of wobbling. So you just want to try to keep the camera as steady as possible so you don't have to rely as much on the stabilization when you edit. That's just going to help create smoother shots when you go to edit. As you know, if you've flown with a drone shots are extremely smooth. So to kind of mimic those, you want to have your camera movement be as smooth as possible also. As you're filming your shots, try to kind of mimic how a drone would fly. So you could start off low and go high, for example, and try to kind of create a different elevation so that when you edit the shots, it looks like your camera is actually flying through the air. You can also fly through or under objects. And because you have your camera on the end of a pole and you have so much control, you can actually create finer movements than you can typically with a drone. So just kind of try to think about that as you're filming. For example, in this shot here, I started high and went down through the tree and then back up to a high perspective just to create a kind of cool drone fly through look. Another thing to pay attention to is where your shadow and the pole's shadow are in relation to the shot. You can kind of avoid these shadows a little bit when you edit, but if you can move your camera so that that shadow is less in the shot that you're looking for, that's going to help make your editing easier. When you go to edit, you can keep these out of the shot, but a fake drone shot always looks better when you can't see the pole, because that just kind of gives it away that it was a fake drone shot filmed with a 360 camera. These 360 cameras are definitely a whole different filming experience than a single lens camera. And if you are confused, don't worry. I've created a really useful book for each camera model, so you can just check that out. I'll put a link in the video description below. That's gonna help you with everything you need to know, and you'll really be able to understand it. I've got tons of great reviews from beginners who have explained how easy this book is for them, just to help them get a grasp on what's happening with these 360 cameras. But right now in this video, you can just follow the steps I'm giving you and at least get some of these epic drone shots. Step 5 is editing. Now it's time to take what you filmed and turn it into that fake drone shot. On a computer, you can use Insta360 Studio, or on a phone or a tablet, you can use the Insta360 app. Both of these apps have the tools you need to create these epic fake drone shots, and they're really easy to use. Now that you guys have recorded your fake drone shots, I'm gonna take you into Insta360 Studio on a computer to show you some of the most common steps that I always do to my footage to make it look like a fake drone shot. So first of all, just look through your footage for the shot that you wanna use. First, when you go into your shot, just scroll through the footage, and you can always see the setup time, and it's gonna look kind of choppy. That's kind of when you're just getting ready to film your shot. You'll always scroll through and you can find this point where it ends up being smooth. And this is where you intentionally filmed your fake drone shot. So I can see right here, this is where I started to create some smooth movements. So I'm gonna go right to the beginning of that, and I'm gonna add a keyframe so I know where it is. And then I'm gonna trim off the beginning of that shot because I don't wanna waste the extra storage space with the footage that I don't need. Now I'm just gonna scroll to the end of the shot and see where that movement stopped. You can see if you go too far here, okay, I went backwards. So I'm gonna go right here to where I stopped that movement and add another keyframe. It's always nice to pick out the segment that you wanna use first, just so you can work with that specifically. Now I'm just gonna go to the beginning of the shot and start working on it from the beginning. I'm gonna click on this keyframe here just to make sure that I'm working on that keyframe, and you'll see that highlighted here, and that's gonna show that you're working on that keyframe. The keyframes here are gonna save a marker of any of the adjustments that you make to the look of the shot. You can choose some pre-designed looks here, but I'm just gonna go ahead over the image and actually scroll out to adjust the frame so it's a wider perspective that's going to look more like the camera is higher in the air. You can move around too to see which perspective you want to capture, but I'm going to capture the straightforward looking one for this shot. And then I'm going to go to the end of the shot, make sure that keyframe's selected. And now I'm going to kind of adjust this and see what I want the end shot to look like. So I think I want to zoom in while I'm pretend flying the drone. So I'm just going to crop in a little bit like that. And now I'm going to go back and play the footage to see how that looks. So now it looks like the camera's flying through the air because I've got that high elevation next to these leaves here. It's nice and smooth, I like that. As you're editing these shots, you just kind of want to think how a drone would fly and what a drone would look like, and try to mimic that when you edit. Another editing trick you might want to use if you have a subject in your shot is you can use deep track or subject tracking. So you just find your subject here, tap on this little icon right here, and then you can highlight your subject, and it's going to automatically track your shot. That's a great way to create those drone shots and have your subject in the frame, and your subject will stay centered. Then once you're done editing, you can click on export, and you can export it either as a H.264, or if you're going into Premiere to edit it somewhere else, you can do a ProRes file. And make sure if you want 4K footage that you change the resolution to 4K, and then you can export your file. Now that you have the steps to create those epic fake drone shots, it's time to start thinking outside the box and think what kind of footage you can go capture in some new locations that you were never able to fly your drone. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that helped you guys out. Stay tuned to my YouTube channel for more tutorials, and I'll see you guys in the next video.